Have you ever loved someone who slowly made you hate yourself? We've all heard the term toxic. It's thrown around on social media every day, but when you're actually in it, it doesn't feel like a buzzword. It feels like home. It feels like the most intense love you've ever known, until it starts to feel like a cage. Welcome back to the channel. We are diving deep into a topic that affects millions but is understood by few, the toxic partner. Today, we aren't just talking about bad moods or fights. We are talking about the psychological patterns that break your spirit. We'll look at the subtle red flags you're probably ignoring, and most importantly, how to reclaim your soul after it's been crushed. Some people enter your life, not to love you, but to consume you. They slowly make you question everything about yourself, your worth, your feelings, your personality, even your reality. And the scariest part, toxic relationships rarely look toxic in the beginning. In fact, they usually feel like the most intense love you've ever experienced. The attention feels magical. The connection feels deep. The chemistry feels unreal. And for a while, you genuinely believe you finally found your person. But little by little, love turns into anxiety. You start overthinking every text, every silence, every mood change. You become emotionally exhausted trying to keep the relationship alive, while the other person slowly destroys your peace. And one day, you look in the mirror and realize you don't even recognize yourself anymore. In this video, we're going to talk about what toxic relationships actually look like, why people stay in them, the psychological manipulation behind them, the signs most people ignore, how toxic partners slowly break your confidence, and most importantly, how to heal and become yourself again. One of the biggest misconceptions about toxic relationships is that people think they start with abuse. But most toxic relationships actually begin beautifully, almost too beautifully. Toxic partners often make you feel special immediately. Constant attention, endless compliments, fast emotional attachment, big promises very early on. They make you feel chosen. Psychologists often call this love bombing. It's when someone overwhelms you with affection, attention, and emotional intensity to create deep attachment very quickly. And sometimes it feels exactly like love. For example, a girl once shared that after only 2 weeks of dating, her partner was already saying things like, "I've never felt this way before. You're my soulmate. I can't imagine my life without you." At first, she felt lucky, but months later, that same person became emotionally cold, manipulative, and controlling. And that's what makes toxic relationships confusing, because your mind stays attached to the version of them you met in the beginning. You keep hoping they'll become that person again. But sometimes, the beginning was never the real version of them. It was the hook. Okay, now let's dive into the signs you're with a toxic partner. 1. They make you doubt yourself. One of the most dangerous things toxic people do is make you stop trusting your own feelings. You say, "That hurt me," and they respond with, "You're too sensitive. You're overreacting. That never happened." Over time, you begin questioning your own reality. This is called a gaslighting, a form of emotional manipulation that slowly makes you distrust your own mind. And once someone controls your perception of reality, they control you emotionally. 2. You're always the one apologizing. Even when they hurt you, You somehow end up being the one saying sorry. Every conversation becomes twisted. You bring up your pain, and suddenly you're defending yourself instead. Toxic people often avoid accountability by making you feel guilty for reacting to their behavior. 3. Their love is inconsistent. Some days they treat you like you mean everything to them. Other days, they disappear emotionally, cold, distant, unreachable, and this inconsistency creates emotional addiction because your brain becomes attached to unpredictable affection. You keep chasing the good version of them, waiting for the love to come back, and that emotional cycle becomes incredibly hard to escape. 4. They isolate you. Sometimes subtly, sometimes directly, they make negative comments about your friends, your family, the people who care about you. They want to become your entire world because isolated people are easier to control. And slowly, you stop talking to people. You stop going out. You stop being yourself until your entire emotional state depends on one person. 5. You feel emotionally unsafe around them. You overthink everything before saying it. You're scared of upsetting them, scared of their reactions, scared of conflict. You feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, but love is supposed to feel safe, not emotionally exhausting. People often ask, if the relationship is so bad, why don't they just leave? Because toxic attachment is psychological. It's not simple. Sometimes people aren't attached to the person anymore. They're attached to the hope that things will go back to how they were in the beginning, the hope that the person will finally change. And many people confuse emotional intensity with love, especially if they grew up around chaos, instability, or unhealthy relationships. For them, pain feels familiar, and familiar can feel like love. Some people also fear loneliness more than suffering, so they stay. Not because they're weak, but because emotionally they have become dependent. And here's the most important part. Toxic people are not cruel 24/7. If they were horrible all the time, leaving would actually be easier. But sometimes they're loving, sometimes caring, sometimes gentle, and those moments keep you emotionally trapped because every small moment of kindness feels like proof that maybe the relationship can still be saved. Now, I'll share with you the story of Emma that might relate to you. Emma met someone who seemed perfect. He was charming, protective, obsessed with her. At first, she thought, he cares about me so much. But slowly, he became controlling. He got angry when she spent time with friends. He checked her phone, made her feel guilty for small things. Then came the emotional manipulation. One day, he would ignore her completely. The next day, he would love bomb her again. And Emma became addicted to the cycle. Not because she was weak, because toxic relationships affect the brain the same way addiction does. The highs feel intense, the lows feel unbearable, and your nervous system gets trapped in the chaos. Here is the most important part: how to avoid toxic people. 1. Stop ignoring red flags. Your intuition exists for a reason. If someone constantly makes you anxious, emotionally drained, or insecure, don't romanticize it. That's not passion. That's emotional instability. 2. Don't rush emotional attachment. People don't rush intimacy. Take your time. Watch how someone behaves during stress, conflict, disappointment, not just during romantic moments. 3. Maintain your own life. Keep your friendships, your goals, your identity. A healthy relationship should add to your life, not consume it. 4. Set boundaries without guilt. Saying, "That behavior hurts me," is not selfish. Boundaries are not cruelty, they are self-respect. Leaving the relationship doesn't immediately end the pain. Sometimes that's when the real healing begins. Because now you have to process everything: the manipulation, the emotional damage, the version of yourself you lost. And many people blame themselves afterward. How did I allow this? Why didn't I leave earlier? Why do I still miss them? But healing starts when you understand this. You are trying to be loved, not destroyed. Healing takes time. And this is all you have to do. 1. Cut contact if possible. Constant communication reopens emotional wounds. Distance helps your nervous system recover. 2. Rebuild your identity. Reconnect with yourself, your hobbies, your passions, your routines. Remember who you were before survival mode became your personality. 3. Don't rush into another relationship. Sometimes people try to replace pain with attention, but healing requires reflection, not distraction. 4. Forgive yourself. You were surviving emotionally. You trusted someone you loved. That doesn't make you stupid, it makes you human. Real love is not supposed to make you afraid. It's not supposed to make you question your worth every single day. The right person will not make you beg for basic respect, basic honesty, basic emotional safety. And if you escaped a toxic relationship, you survived something deeply painful, even if nobody saw the damage. And maybe one of the hardest parts of healing is accepting that the person you would have done anything for was also the person hurting you the most. But one day you'll wake up and realize losing them was actually the first step toward finding yourself again. If this video spoke to you, comment below, "I deserve healthy love," and subscribe for more videos about emotional healing, toxic attachment, overthinking, and becoming yourself again.